Hey friends, Dave here from Transfer Express, and today we're talking profits. From calculating costs to expenses, and yes, paying yourself or your employees. We're going to touch on the basics to ensure that your business is making money. Then we're going to break down some simple pricing scenarios and find out what you're actually able to take to the bank. So are you ready? Let's talk money. If you are new to Transfer Express, we are the world's largest supplier of custom screen printed and digital heat transfers, heat presses, free customizable designs, wholesale apparel, and expert advice to help grow your t-shirt business. If you haven't already, subscribe. We're kicking out new videos like this one every single week. Now, over the past few years, I've talked to a lot of small and home-based apparel decorating businesses and hobbyists looking to take their passion to the next level and get into the real deal business. Now, the biggest difference from a t-shirt printing hobby to a t-shirt printing business is that a hobby is for recreation and a business is for profit. But many hobbyists, or sometimes even existing businesses, don't know where to start with valuing their time or services properly. So let's dive into some simple steps to get you on the way to having a clear idea of what your profit margins actually look like. One last thing to mention here before we start is to think of the why. I'm always about setting attainable goals, and they are a great spot to start to keep in mind when we talk about profits in general. So are you looking to replace your old 9-to-5 salary? Trying to pay off your investment into the equipment? Maybe your goal is to purchase a new house, a car, set aside some extra dough for your child's college fund, a vacation, whatever is motivating you. Now, it all helps when diving into the money side of the equation and helping you achieve those goals that you set for yourself. All right, now with that in mind, the first thing we need to look at here is your expenses. Now, to keep track of profits, you need to have a complete understanding of every single expense that you have. This includes all of your overhead costs. I'm talking everything from rent, utilities, equipment, supplies, maintenance, insurance, technology like computers, website fees, or software subscriptions. I'm looking at you, Adobe, all right? But marketing spend, ad spend, and anything else, including stuff like travel expenses. Now, be sure that you're recording every dime that you spend in a spreadsheet or your accounting software of your choice. Not only is this going to help when you're calculating your profits like we are here today, but you're going to thank yourself for these detailed records come tax time. Trust me, you will thank yourself. Next, let's calculate our revenue. Now, this should include all online sales, in-person sales, wholesale orders, or any other way that money is coming in. Are you charging for those t-shirt designs? Record those and record any and all incoming cash in that same spreadsheet or your accounting software. Next up, determine the cost of goods sold. This is your cost to produce items, and this is where you're going to record the cost of blank apparel, headwear, accessories, and then the decoration cost. So in our case here, it's going to be how much our heat transfers cost, and then any shipping costs to get the supplies to you. Last but not least here in the cost, the number one most overlooked cost is labor. So factor in how much you value your time, or if you have an employee, how much you are paying them for their time. Now, if you think a job is going to take 2 hours of time and you value yourself at $20 an hour, be sure to include $40 in the cost of the order. The cost of goods sold should be as accurate as possible, because when you're quoting out jobs, this is the most important figure to keep in mind to ensure you're not selling yourself short. Include the sometimes overlooked sales tax if you don't have a reseller's permit or tax exemption set up yet. Just use those final invoice numbers like at the end of the checkout process instead of just looking at the price displayed on the website. It's going to give you a better picture of what your costs are actually going to be. You don't want to be shoveling your profits away to the sales tax you didn't account for. Now, sometimes calculating the labor cost can be tricky, all right? Especially if you're just getting started and don't have a picture-perfect idea of how long a certain job is actually going to take you to print. Now, that's going to come with experience, so oftentimes just starting out, you're going to hear the advice of setting your retail price at the cost times 2. Essentially, just doubling what it takes you to produce your garment, and that's what you're going to charge your customer. We're talking about paying yourself here too. So if you have an employee, you know what you've agreed to pay them per hour of work. Now, in most cases, doubling the cost can more than cover your expenses and labor too, simplifying some of these more maybe complicated calculations, allowing more time for you to actually be printing. Now, cost times 2 is definitely a safe start, but you might find gaps with maybe low cost blanks or very small orders where you're not going to be making as much profit as you want to be. And that's really where the value of calculating the cost of goods sold really comes in. So essentially, your cost of goods sold subtracted from your total revenue is going to give you your gross profit. So say you made $400 on an order this week, that cost you $200 to produce. Our gross profit here is $200. Pretty good, right? Right. Well, now we're actually going to calculate our net profit. So this is essentially what our real deal take-home pay is going to be. For this, we're going to take our gross profit and subtract our expenses that we compiled in the first step of our analysis here. So following with our example from gross profit, let's say we made that $200 in gross profit from the order that we printed in 1 week. And then now we're going to factor in our monthly expenses for utilities, our advertising and website costs, say at $400 per month. Now we're going to divide that $400 between 4 weeks of the month, so $100 per week, and we've made $100 in pocketable cash on this order. So that's with all things considered. Of course, in a 1 week snapshot here, we certainly get the idea of how the rest of our month is looking and a good grasp of our profitability as a whole. But you're going to get a much clearer picture consolidating your profit analysis to the end of the month with that full month expense snapshot. So let's look at this whole scenario for an entire month. So for our scenario here, let's say we're a small home-based t-shirt business that does custom decorating with limited expenses. And that's say utilities, $120, website hosting, $50, software subscriptions, $85, looking at you, Adobe, the credit card payment for our heat press at $80 a month, and some social media and local print advertising spend, which comes out right about to about $65 a month. So all in all total, what we're looking at is about $400 in operating expenses per month. Now, because of our advertising efforts and the local relationships we've built, we're doing pretty good for a home decorator with about 3 to 4 orders per week, 15 total for the month, let's say. Now, that's varying from small orders to large orders. Our total revenue from online and offline sales is about $5,220. Awesome, right? Awesome. But now we're going to minus the cost of the goods, which, if we did cost times 2, is $2,610. And that's that simplified pricing model. That's going to leave us with $2,610 for our gross profit. Now, accounting for our $400 in expenses, we're bringing in $2,210 in net profit, all expenses paid. Now, if we divide that net profit here by total revenue, we're going to have our profit margin. 2,210 divided by 5,220 gives us a 42% operating profit margin. And that's pretty good for a home-based business. Now, you could use this data to analyze your own business. If you'd like to bring home more take-home pay and the work is flowing, you could increase your profit margin with a higher price to your customers. Now, if you're making good profit, but some customers are turning away at your prices, or you're looking to go expand your customer base, you could think about lowering your margin and markup to land those other customers. Now, that's not possible unless you have this analysis in place, because you could actually be losing money if you've never done these calculations. Now, this is also going to highlight if your orders themselves are profitable, but your business overhead expenses are erasing all of those profit margins. Maybe consider ways to cut some of those costs if possible. Now, regardless, running these numbers for your own business in a Google spreadsheet or in accounting software is going to help you ensure you're bringing home profit and doing better than just breaking even, right? So as you saw in our example, it really doesn't take a ton of orders to start bringing in a decent amount of cash with just some very simple ballpark pricing. And that's just with this bare bones cost times 2 profit model. Now, I hope this video was helpful to you in planning out your shop's profitability, regardless of the size of your business, whether you're a home-based business or you already have a brick and mortar shop that you're operating out of. And as always, be sure you're subscribed to our Transfer Express YouTube page to stay up to date on all of the t-shirt business tips, tricks, and inspiration that we're dropping every single week. But until next time, I'm Dave. Happy pressing.